Hello, Something Ghouls and Goblins. This is Something Guy 912, bringing you back Art Architecture in weekly fashion once more for the entirety of the Ravenholm chapter of Half-Life 2. I figured this set of maps would fall perfectly in line with Spooky Season, so while I continue to work on my analysis of Wednesday Season 2, you'll be seeing a new map in the Ravenholm chapter covered every Monday until November the 3rd, starting with D1_town_01. Without further delay, let's get spooked. Alright, and now we are properly in the map. There's going to be a lot to discuss about this map, even in the prelude and as we go over it, because the Ravenholm maps have a notable number of odd things around it. To start, you'll probably notice that it's unnaturally bright. I have set matte_Fulbright to 1, to just make it easier for me to point out certain things in terms of the architecture of the map. If you guys don't like that, just let me know in the comments. If you just prefer me to just use the manual flashlight that is provided to you in the game, I just figured this would be a little bit less garish than using the flashlight. And then the second thing before we start is, I had mentioned in the D1_Eli map, or maps, that the placement of the bottommost part of the dam in relation to the tunnels that you go through in Black Mesa East would essentially make it so Ravenholm would be very, very close to that dam. And I didn't realize how close it was, but there was this video that has like this full 3D view of all the Half-Life 2 maps, and this map is right at the base of the river from the bottom of that dam that you initially enter from. So this entire area would be flooded, but that's, that's besides the point. Alright, now we can actually start with tackling the map. So we first enter and we get the notable Ravenholm sign. Now, this sign, as it kind of looks like a sign that you would see on a highway, and obviously there's no highway around here, so not sure why it's here. And obviously the only reason it's here is to signal to the players that they are indeed in Ravenholm. But I always felt this placement here felt extremely cheeky, like the developers weren't really confident in the player's own ability to infer that, especially when when you transition into this map, it literally has the chapter "We don't go to Ravenholm" text just flash in front of you. So it's like, oh, okay, we're in Ravenholm. And Alex mentions that this is the old passageway to Ravenholm. So it's like, it was like they really wanted to account for something that they didn't necessarily need to account for. Like, oh yeah, you're in here now, guys. And then kind of going back from where we came from. So just keep in mind, this weird shed thing was a ladder/elevator into one of the access tunnels. So I don't know what this shed originally served prior to that. Beyond just that. And then going out into the, side way over here. Once again, I am going to invoke Freeman's Mind 2. Because he makes a point of noting that this little corner over here is basically Murder Alley. Because you have these small alleyways that basically go nowhere and are just here to just have blood.
Oh, so this really is Murder Alley. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just for killing people. All right.
Moving on from that, and then we go over here to the first entrance into one of these, oh shit, hold up. Yep, I'm very professional, as you can tell. I forgot to turn on no target on myself so that these zombies don't attack me mercilessly. So we enter into one of these warehouse sheds, and these seem to be a very useful way for the Ravenholm maps to transition seamlessly. But it's going to cause some oddities. Even, going beyond that, like, this is the entrance to a shed, but it enters from an area that doesn't have a street or seems like a yard of some kind. So I'm not sure what this area is served in terms of, like, normal civilian flow of traffic and whatnot. So we will go in, You know, we have all these little goodies you can throw at zombies and whatnot. Okay, I was just making sure, because it seemed a little bit weird he was active. First thing to discuss about this map is we have these odd upraised portions. Now, again, the reason I turned on Matte Full Bright is these aren't, like, you can't really see them all that well unless you're really putting attention on them, but when you turn on the brightness, or I guess, I don't know what Matte Full Bright exactly does, but I think it turns off light maps, so that just everything is in the same tonal brightness. But, like, turning that on really shows you kind of the inexplicable architecture going on here. So I'm not sure what these would have served, apart from maybe storage for whatever this workhouse shed was. But I'm going to have some qualms with that as we go on, because obviously you go back here into these little corridors and tussle with some more zombies until you go into the backyard here. So not sure why the back part of the shed would have this long winding corridor beyond just for the sake of you killing zombies. And beyond the fact that it seamlessly transitions into the next portion of the map, as you can tell, where it kind of cuts out between here in this fashion. And then moving on, we come across and are introduced to the saw blade trap. Now, this is supposedly being powered by a generator, and I could not tell you exactly how long this has been here. Obviously, this was set up by who will come across as Grigori, but I'm not sure, like, what it's being powered by or how long it has been powered. Like, we can assume it's gas, but again, I don't know if it would last, like, literally years between. I don't know why I'm trying to dodge underneath it. I can just clip right through it. And then we have a few zombies come here, just walking straight to their deaths, because it's funny. And just, you know, good indication to the player that these will be helpful to them. Then we have a little bit of a collision with some architecture with this white building and this wooden building. As you can see, it collides with parts of the roof, and this part of this white building also contravenes this other white building on the other side of that map transition, as you can tell. Doesn't quite match along, and obviously probably would collide with whatever this part of the shed is. And then we will go into, I guess, presumably the backyard of another random warehouse, where we have a inactive saw blade trap and some more stuff to throw at. Now, this map has a few notable examples of odd architecture in relation to enemy placement. So we have this random closet here, and this is going to be extremely funny when I really put it in attention. But in this random little closet, we just have 4 or 3 zombies just smack here in this corner for some fucking reason. It's incredibly humorous to me. Like, because most zombies normally are just wandering around, so, like, these zombies would have to be deliberately just chilling in this closet for whatever reason for them to come out when the player comes into this building this way. Then we'll come out here into, I guess you could consider this, like, some kind of warehouse street. I mean, the general connectivity between this warehouse and this warehouse is very, very odd. Like, there's not really going to be a whole lot of cohesion between it, but we'll proceed as normal. Once again, we have a few more zombies to kill, and then we come out into here, where we have another entrance to this warehouse, which, for some reason, is way above the ground level of this street. At least I think this is supposed to be a street, like it's, like, indicative of a, like a European street in that regard. And then these 2 buildings are connected in some way. It's just obviously the connection between them is a little bit implausible. Like, for starters, we have the old-fashioned, like, intermediary bridge between the 2 warehouses, but there is no way to get to either side. Not from up here and over here. I mean, obviously they could lead to something, but obviously there's no like stairway or ladder to get onto this upper part of this warehouse. So this might as well just be empty geometry, like empty calories for map design in a way. I'm just going to have Grigori introduce himself, and then we'll backtrack a little bit. So we'll walk out here, he kills a few zombies for us, even though obviously we're invincible and they don't even see us. I should probably mention that his shotgun...
Who is this?
Oh wait, hold up.
Another life to save? I'll keep my eye on you. More than that, I cannot promise.
I mean, I know the Matt Fulbright kind of takes away the gravitas of him entering like that, but his shotgun, when he shoots, you'll probably hear it, makes electric sounding sounds, like an electric shock sound for some reason, and I guess it was just a suitable sound replacement as opposed to, I guess, using the normal, like, bullet hitting metal sound. Anyway, we'll backtrack, and we have this portion of fence that is blocking off this street, but going out of bounds, as you can see, it kind of just peters out like this, so I'm not sure why they couldn't have just made this area otherwise inaccessible as a den end, but maybe it was just, again, they were trying to just keep you on that serpentine path. And especially with Ravenholm, the overall architecture of the Ravenholm maps are extremely claustrophobic. They're extremely tight-knit. Like, there's basically very little to breathe in. And I think that was probably deliberate by the designers, because this is supposed to be the horror, like, chapter. And obviously most people, you know, are fond of this particular chapter because of that deliberate choice in design. It's just obviously when you make things extremely tight, it's going to cause certain incoherent mistakes in terms of like the real world design of certain things. So I'll walk out here. We have Grigori's personal slaughterhouse of random spikes and hooks. Now, I don't know if he placed these here himself. Maybe some of these he placed here himself, but I don't know about these ones. Maybe these were here before he kind of came into the picture. But as for that, I don't know if this would be otherwise practical. We'll go to more discussions about this overall design of the building that he walked in from in a moment. We're going to go into this little side area with this kind of like a slaughterhouse, because you got all these hooks and legends and whatnot. And we have a second instance of odd architecture in regards to enemy placement. So you have this, I guess you could say, almost demonstration of like using fire against zombies, because, you know, fire versus zombies is always a kind of motif when it comes to like zombie movies and whatnot. And you can use this on this poor son of a bitch zombie just sleeping. So the question then becomes, like, how did Grigori get the zombie here? Or even more impractical is the idea that he was able to keep the zombie asleep and then built around him these fences, the propane, and the igniter in this fashion. And again, it's just a demonstration. Oh, and I guess it should go without saying the fences obviously collide with each other because they're pointing inward rather than outward. But that goes, you know, without saying. And then we have a instance of hiding goodies in a place that doesn't have a lambda symbol. So we have this small ledge up here, and as you can see, there is health and revolver ammo, which I found very odd that somebody had put, again, had the presence of mind to put that there. And yet, you know, with the brightness of the overall area, most players probably would have missed that. So it's just, again, very interesting that they even bother with that. And then more to do with the interior. As you can see, the little small ledge and these little supports do not match the overall height of this building. And if I go up a little bit more, as you can see, the rest of the ceiling is just completely fabricated. It was made up. wherever that one clip I'm thinking of calls to mind. And then going back out a little bit, as you can see, we have the architecture of these doors for this slaughterhouse do match the inside, but if these doors were to be open, they would just be going out from this small ledge this way, which is why only these sets of doors, or, well, there's not a door, it's just planks, are open in this fashion. And now we can actually get back into the main building. So the overall design, the texture of these windows and shutters and whatnot does not match the inside of this building, as you can see, because it's a small like corridor before the main building. And then going into Grigori's little entrance, there is no way for him to have come in, like the way he enters from does not match with any of the architecture of the rest of the building. As you can see, it's just a single white room with a huge light source right here. And I'm guessing they put that there to really put into emphasis, like, the contrast between him and the zombies in that regard. And then more to the point of this catwalk is, not only does the catwalk not have railings in particular places, but doesn't even match up with this railing that is slightly above this vent here that you come down from below. So that is another interesting little thing in regards to just like possibly time constraints, considering they had to completely revamp the Ravenholm chapter in regards to the beta, which is something we'll get into in a moment. Now, going into the building proper, we have a few of these turbines. I'm guessing these are turbines. And they're kind of really tightly packed in here with the rails and upper portion this way. I'm not sure it would be designed this way, because I'm guessing this is some kind of, like, generator workhouse or whatever. Considering there's this observation deck with rails that are also, oddly enough, completely in one piece. And then obviously we have a small lambda cache here in this vent. And this vent is like the vent in D1_canals_01A, I believe, where it's venting nothing. It just vents out between two little positions right here, so you can get up onto this upper ledge. Although I'm pretty sure if you grab the barrel, I'm pretty sure you can get up there regardless of the vent. Now, getting back into the building. The only way to get up into this observation deck is to remove this clutter. And this clutter obviously is only here to tell the player, hey, use the gravity gun. Just use it. You have it. Do it. You nonce. Alright, I'm just getting out of the way of these guys. Nothing to say about the observation deck. Maybe I would say that the support rails are a little bit close to somebody's head at, you know, at normal head level, but I don't know. Maybe that's not exactly implausible. And then we have to go around here. We come across our first poison head crabs, and we have to turn off this switch to turn off the electrified fence. Now, I'm assuming that this was probably a design by Grigori, because of the way that this generator is like completely jury-rigged, as you can tell. Because I don't see, I wouldn't really understand what would be the practical use of this. And given that, you know, fast zombies exist, this would make sense to electrify a fence this way. So we'll just turn it off, and obviously it breaks. Now, regarding the little procession we had to get to turn off this switch. This door is blocked by some clutter, obviously, but why would this doorway be here if it just winds like this? It seems a little bit peculiar to have a unnecessary amount of doorways like this. Maybe this is practical, but given there's no bathrooms or whatever, so... And this might have been just a normal living quarters for whoever was working at this warehouse, who knows. we will go back down because there is something to discuss. It's another instance of odd architecture in relation to enemy placement. So, after you flip the switch, some more zombies pop out inexplicably. You could just infer that they just wandered their way in here. But, as soon as you come into this doorway, as you can see, 2 zombie head crabs jump you from seemingly nowhere. Because it's not like a window broke or anything like that. They just appear. They just fall out from heaven, I guess, to bombard you. So, yeah. A few instances. There's like one somewhat of a art architecture in relation to enemy placement that we can discuss in a moment. Now, before we go and climb over on that fence, something I wanted to bring attention to is you can see these huge metal supports and these wires, and they lead all the way to the far end of the map, and you can see this crane thing. Now, I believe this whole entire section is a carryover from the beta version of Ravenholm, where there was a scene where you would activate this crane or pulley system, and you ride this cart or whatnot, and you'd go all the way down to the area, like to the other side of the area that you had like essentially like fought through. And obviously that was cut because it was a little bit wonky, janky in terms of like how it like moved around. It wasn't exactly natural, and possibly was kind of nausea-inducing. So they cut that, but they kept like the visual aspect of it here in this regard. I mean, it is interesting that like when I'm looking at it like this, it's surprisingly practical, because like, I mean, I'm not sure if these wires would really be able to pull like a cart all the way down here, but the fact that it does like path its way like this is, like I said, surprising that it continues in that regard. Now going into the wire section that we deactivated, we go up these ladders into these ledges. Now, these ladders into these like ledges are like those things that you see in like usually urban centers where like they'll have a series of ladders with these ledges to lead into houses or windows. But obviously some of these do not match with the texture of the windows in this regard. Especially with this set not even matching to a door or a window, period. So who knows what this was used for. Then we jump down here, and Grigori once again meets us in inexplicable fashion, because this portion of the roof is also inaccessible from any part of the map, real or imagined. And obviously he kills a head crab for us, although we're clearly invisible, so we don't have to worry about that. And then immediately to our left we have this tanker that is covered by fences, which is odd because this is an area, like this part of the roof is an area that would otherwise be not for civilian access. So it's weird that some person had the sense of mind to put this fence here before this area became essentially zombie central. And then we'll jump down these board ledges, and I'm just going to assume that these board ledges were set here by Grigori so he had a means to kind of like avoid zombies and get his way around, considering most of the streets are blocked by these boards for some reason. We'll go into the ledge of this little room here, and there's this drop down where you have more tools to deal with these zombies and head crabs in kind. And of course, there is no stairway or ladder to get up from this point. So this upper section would have only been accessible through those ledges that you had to drop down from a roof. So who knows how you would have gone up here normally. Oh, I didn't realize that doorway there. And then we have, for some reason, there's a small little corridor here that splits between this small section of the room here with these boards. Like, I thought maybe, like, breaking one of these, like, had zombies on the other end, but like there's like I guess it's just meant to confuse you or just waste your time in breaking boards into an area that you could have accessed easier this way. We'll once again come out here, and we have one of another one of Grigori's little contraptions is these essentially cars that crush zombies. Not gonna have much to discuss about that, but back over here we have more of the street, but the street just seemingly ends on this random corner with just zombies here. So again, this is possibly just designed for the sake of zombies to be here, so they walk in and you can use the crane to crush them. And then we have a lambda symbol here in this little small nuke here. And get some goodies. Now, this is an example of like why I want to use Map Fulbright, because this kind of shows you certain things that are very odd. Like this random mash of metal is literally just that. Like if I turn this off, for example, just as a demonstration, yeah, it's a lot darker. So if I didn't put on the flashlight and put real emphasis on it, you probably suspect that maybe this is practical. But with how dark it is, like, yeah, it kind of hides certain silly things like that. So we'll turn that back right on. Turn out the flashlight, and we are good on that. When we go up here, obviously we got to go up on these cars as a way to get up on the ledges and jump across. And then he greets us once again in a place that would be impractical, but given the overall architecture of these roofs in conjunction, because he meets us right here, which I should also go without saying that when he initially saw us on that ledge catwalk, there would have been no way for him to get from there to this roof. But he meets us at this roof, and you could at least somewhat infer that maybe he just hardcore parkoured across these roofs over here to greet us again. That's my only, I guess, headcanon explanation as to why it was designed that way. And with that, that is all for D1_town_01. And that was that for that map. Once more, this will be ongoing weekly until I complete the Ravenholm chapter, so stay tuned next Monday for more odd architecture.